Hi folks, my name is Thibaut Van Dam and I am a DIY singer-songwriter and also guitar tutor based in Southeast London. Today I'm very excited to be on my channel doing something different, something that I've not done before on my channel, so it's going to be sort of new for me. I am a guitar tutor, so today I'm going to be doing a tutorial teaching anyone watching this how to play the song Halcyon by Vansire. And I did a short of this song on YouTube where people saw it, and I got a lot of positive comments about that, and a lot of people requesting I do a tutorial. And so I realized that I'd done somewhat different chords from the original sort of song or what's suggested on Ultimate Guitar. And so I figured, yeah, why not? Why don't I do this? And so in this video today, I'll be talking about the various chords that you'll need to know in order to play the song. I'll also be talking about the chord substitutes that I did, sort of the chord voicings that I chose in certain parts over others and why. And so, yeah, let me know if this is helpful. This is my first tutorial on YouTube, so I don't really know anyone's skill set that might be watching this. So yeah, write something in the comments below, letting me know what you found helpful and what you think could be different or better. I will also say that I will be referring to certain theoretical terms throughout this video, and if you don't understand it, I have actually made videos about practical guitar and music theory. I have now 32 lessons out, and I'm working on lesson 33, or maybe 32 actually, maybe I have 31 out. I don't know. I have a lot of videos that I've made all about practical guitar, and some of the things I'll be talking about today will be in reference to fundamental theory. And if you want to learn fundamental theory, it's pretty simple actually. It's very cumulative, and I've made videos that are all numbered, lesson 1, 2, 3, etc. And I've tried to make it as easy as possible, so go check that out if you're interested in that. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'll say is that this song is in standard tuning, and you do not need a capo to play it. So that's handy. That means you can just tune up and make sure that everything's in tune. And more or less, I'll say, yeah, why not? That's about as in tune as we can get. And okay, so there's a handful of chords you'll need to know in order to play this song. The first and kind of the first 2, 3 chords that are really important are E minor 9. I like it. Technically, it's written as E minor 7, add 9, and then F sharp minor 7. And then the other chord that you'll need to know, and this is an important one, is the dilemma, of course. I'm going to call it A half diminished, but in the chords that you'll see on Ultimate Guitar, by the way, I've included a link for that in the description. That chord, they're describing it as a B with a flat 9th. And they're playing it like this. And this is actually not just a B flat 9, this is a B dominant with a flat 9th. So this is a very specific chord. Now, I'm not going to show you how to play that chord because even though it sounds really, really very saturated, very cool, I actually don't think it's very accurate to the song. And I also think that it makes it harder to play the riff, which I will be showing how to play. So let's talk about these first 3 chords, and then we'll go forward through the other chords as we go through the song. So the first chord is E minor 7 with the added 9th. And it's a beautiful chord, and it's really, yeah, got a lot of depth. So if you know the chord E minor, it's just open E, and then 2nd fret on A, 2nd fret on D, and then the open G. And then the rest of the strings are open. That's E minor. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove our ring finger, and that's going to make it minor 7. And then we're going to take that same ring finger, and we're going to put it down on the 2nd fret of the E string, the top E string. And that's the note F sharp. And that's our 9th. So that's where we get our minor 7th and the 9th. The next chord we need to know is actually, curiously, kind of like an inversion, a visual inversion of this chord, which is we remove these 2 fingers and we fill in all of the strings on the 2nd fret that were not previously filled in. So this is the F sharp minor 7 chord, and it's played with the 2nd fret on E, which is the note F sharp, then the open A, then the 2nd fret on D, 2nd fret on G, 2nd fret on B, and then open E. And this is our F sharp minor 7. Now another way to look at this chord, and I'll show you, hopefully you can see, another way to look at it is like an A major with an F sharp in the root. It could be read both ways actually, so it's pretty interesting. It's one of these kind of curious chords. It's worth pointing out that A major and F sharp minor 7, or F sharp minor, are relative major and minor chords. They have a unique relationship where they share a lot of notes. So this actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, so these 2 chords sound wonderful, and I do use them in the version that I played, but I don't think that they're good at the beginning of the song. And the reason being, because they're so low, that they don't really grab the attention of the listener. They're better for the romantic chorus, I think. So I held off on using these voicings for the chorus. And this serves lots of purposes. I tried to find other voices that would work better, that would be brighter and would capture the attention better. And actually, it's not just that the chords would capture your attention better as a listener, but also that it would allow you to play the sexy riff, a lot easier, which is involving the A half diminished chord. So let's talk about this chord. It was originally, as they say here, they called it a B with a flat ninth. It is a B with a flat ninth, but it's technically a dominant chord with a flat ninth. Look at this. I'm not even going to tell you how to play this, even though I will put the chord chart up because it sounds really cool. This is a behemoth of a chord. This is like a gratuitous chord. Also, it's contradictory in the melody, and I don't believe it sounds as good. So not only are you working harder, it's sounding worse, I'd say. Now, there is an aspect of this chord that I thought really touched a nerve that sounded very true to the song, which is this. That part of the chord, actually. Now, if we remove that lower section, we're actually playing a different chord altogether. This is actually the note A, and the chord we're playing is an A half diminished. So the question of what is a diminished chord. So I will explain this. Basically, if we play D major and we flatten the third, we're playing the chord D minor. Now, to play a diminished chord, we have to have a flat and fifth, my bad. So that's the fifth, the second fret on the G string. So we're going to flatten that. That's our diminished chord. But it's actually a half diminished chord. So we get half diminished by adding in a minor seventh. So what makes the diminished chord diminished is that it's a flat 5 and a minor 3, and also then for half diminished with a minor seventh. And it's a beautiful chord, and it can sound kind of dominant if you think about it, but it is a half diminished chord. And I think it's usually easier and more palatable to hear than the diminished chord, actually. It's easier to hear this than this. I'm not exactly sure why, but to my ear. So this is our half diminished chord. Now, using our cage system, this is a method of moving chords around the neck really easily so that you can identify what the chord is and use familiar shapes. This is our diminished shape. We're going to go ahead and bar it on first. That's going to be not D half diminished, but now D sharp half diminished, or E flat half diminished, E half diminished, F half diminished, so on until we get to A half diminished. A half diminished. Now I like this voice a lot, and the reason being that there's this riff which goes da 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 da. We need to be able to do that, and not only do we need to be able to do that riff to supplement the vocals, but we want to be able to do it using our pinky. So we need to free our pinky, so we don't really want to be using it to play this ridiculous fifth down here for the B. Like, you can do it. It's just, I don't want to. It's just more than effort than it's worth. So A half diminished, on the other hand, is much more manageable. A lot more manageable. So let's talk about this chord then, and what the voices of the other chords, the E minor 7 add 9, and also the F sharp minor 7. How did I come up with new voices? Well, these were the voices. And that works so much better. So what I'm doing is I'm using the A minor 7 shape. Imagine A minor. Now we remove our octave. Now we have a minor 7th. And we're gonna use that as a bar on the 7th fret. So your index finger will be barring the 7th fret, which is the note E, starting from the A string. This is the note E. And that is therefore an E minor 7 chord. So we want to play E minor 7. This voicing makes a lot more sense in my mind. E minor 7, F sharp minor 7. And so these are the two voicings. It's dead easy, a lot easier than trying to do this and that, and then play that half diminished chord. Because I think that sounds right in voicing, so I want to play this. These don't sound appropriate, and so yeah, I moved some things around. Here we go. So imagine the following. It's one hazy panoply, recount this halcyon age. I turn to Anthony when he turned to Carlines and Cage. Yeah. I like having that note at the way top because it makes it easier to notice what the melody is. Da, 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 da. You can sing it along with that higher note. Yeah, so the melody is easier to hear when it's higher pitched. Okay, so then that's why you want that half diminished there. Now, something unusual I notice about this riff in particular is that it feeds back into the chords. So when you actually complete that riff, you end up playing the minor third of the E minor 7 chord. Like that. It's really brilliant. So then these are kind of the 3 chords that we're using: E minor 7, F sharp minor 7, and then A half diminished. Let's talk about how to play the riff. So the riff is played like this. You have kind of a partial bar on the top 4 strings on the 7th fret. Then you're going to play the 8th fret on the G string. So it's 7, 8, 7, and then 8th fret on the E string. And then the riff itself is played by removing the 8th fret to expose kind of the partial bar on 7. So 8, 7, and then 10 on the B string, and then 8 on the B string. So 8, 7 on E, 10, 8 on the B. E, B. And you can do it as simply as just plucking with 2 fingers or even 1. And then you go back into your minor 7th chord, your E minor 7 from the beginning. So E minor 7th, like I said, is barred on the 7th fret, so 7, 9, 7, 8. F sharp minor is 9, 10, 9, 11, 9, 10. And that's our riff. Great. So the rest of this gets a little bit easier. We have our pre-chorus, which is basically those chords just cycled faster. So throughout the verse, you alternate the E minor 7 and the F sharp minor 7 twice. So you're going to go, but no one's really there. Does that mean it's done in vain? See, and then we go back. If no one really cares, I'm back to acting strange. Do-do-do. Like Daniel Johnston in Texas. And it's faster now. At some point in the 80s, passing out his cassettes with the J card that he drew. Oh, did he ever expect it? I guess it's just what happens when the music's a respite. The world is so appalling and you come to detest it. And you could say, we have a new chord now. We're going to play the D major chord. There's different ways of doing this chord. One of which is to play the open D. I didn't think that made sense just yet. I thought because we're higher in pitch up here, let's search out a bar. So a nice easy bar we can use is again the A shape. And we're going to bar on the 5th fret. So 5 from the A string, 5th fret, 7, 7, 7, 5. That's the D major chord, right? And I think it sounds so much better here. The reason I chose this bar is because we're actually going to descend to the B minor 7, which is an A minor 7 shape, played on the 2nd fret, barred on the 2nd fret. So 2, 4, 2, 3. So let's put that all together if we can. So we're going to say, and you could say I was nervous, then that's the D, to the B minor 7. Now E minor 7, but in the original format, just that open E. Leave the speakers loud, and I think it sounds so much more dewy and rich and romantic at that point. Speakers loud when you feel self-doubt. This chord is just so brilliant. It is a G minor, but with a major 6th chord, 6th interval added on. How hot. Okay, so how do you do a chord like this? So you're going to play, imagine if you can play G major, which is from the E string 3, then 2 on the A, then the open D. That's a G major. So all a G minor is a major chord, but instead of having a major third, a minor third. That's why it's minor. So instead of, you find the 3rd, which is B in this case, we'll flatten that 2nd fret to the 1st fret. So 3, 1, 0, G minor. Then we're actually playing a supplementary 5th, playing the 3rd fret on the B string, which is the note D. That's a 5th relative to G. So supplementary 5th. And then that very last note is the major 6th, which is the note E, right? So G to E is a major 6. And it's a brilliant chord and it works really well with the lyrics. This is why I think this is phenomenal songwriting. When you feel self-doubt. What says self-doubt better than a minor chord that's actually also major? That's brilliant. Anyway, I'll continue. And what's cool about this is that this specific voicing, holding down that 3rd fret on B, lets us play the open D for the next continued part of the chorus. If there's any chance, that's the D major chord. So I like to believe that you can make your life easier by being able to hold fingers down when you're going to be playing another chord that shares a note in common. Notice how I don't lift my pinky? When you feel self-doubt, if there's any chance, then we'll play B minor 7. that we'd still hang out. We could E minor 7 as we stare at passing clouds. This is a really harmonically dense chord. This is an F sharp dominant with an augmented fifth. And yeah, there's a lot going on here. So we have our root, our third, our augmented 5. We have a supplementary third, major third. So it's a major chord. What makes a dominant chord dominant is that it's major, but with also a minor 7th. In this case, the minor 7th is the open E relative to F sharp. That's dominant. But because we're also playing D, we're actually adding in that augmented sound as well. So it's augmented and it's dominant at the same time. So how do you play this technically is you play the 2nd fret on E, which is F sharp. Then you're going to play the 1st fret on A, which is A sharp or B flat. Then you're going to play the open D string, so 0 on D. Then you're going to play the 3rd fret on G, the 3rd fret on B, and then the open E. And it's a dense chord. It feels very muddy, and it's supposed to, right? While we stare at passing clouds. I think the vocal melody perhaps resolves it slightly. And then it continues. It goes back into the break. Da, 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 bum, 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 ba, da, da. Those and so it goes. And actually that's the rest of the song. That's all you need to know in order to play the song. I won't do the remaining verses because I haven't actually listened to the song enough to know the tempo and the delivery, but I think that should be enough for you to be able to play the song on your own. Throughout this video, I've included little images that I hand drew of the chord diagrams that I'm using specifically. I put them in when I'm using them, so hopefully that helps as well. I think this is a brilliant song, and I think it exhibits excellent songwriting because oftentimes the lyrics are reinforced by the quality or the nature of the chords, and that's true in sort of a micro way in the sense that certain chords match the meaning. So when you feel self-doubt, in that sense, but also probably in cadence structure, meaning the way that the chords move throughout the song actually also reflects aspects of the song. There are more lyrics that actually come up that are reinforced by these same things, these same chords, which I think are really smart. For example, another one that struck my mind is here, where it says, "I'll be there for you." That's such a romantic thing to say that I think, again, the E minor 7 really matches there. When you're feeling down. It's a brilliant chord to use the G minor with the major 6th. Really cool because it kind of expresses this minorness and then something that challenges it at the same time, and that's kind of the vibe of the whole song. And this F sharp dominant with the augmented 5 is some heavy lifting, sure. It's not too difficult of a chord to play. It's almost like if you played a G major and just flattened kind of both your root and also your 3rd, my bad. And then actually the top G was actually left open and that kind of hopped down like this. I was going to explore different voicings for that same chord, but I basically think it's accurate as can be. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this tutorial helpful in learning how to play this song. Like I said, I included the tabs, or rather the chords that are available on Ultimate Guitar. I don't think that certain voicings are accurate, and so that's why I explained sort of what I chose throughout this video. If you did like this video, remember to give me a thumbs up. Remember to also, of course, subscribe if you're interested in stuff like this. I do teach guitar, so if you have more questions, you want to learn more, I do a free lesson actually to start with. So I have some links also in the description if you're interested in that. And I don't know, I really enjoyed doing this. It's a lot more fun. It's a little bit more relaxed. Talking about theory can be quite scary for me because I don't want to misinform anyone. So I take my theory videos very seriously. So if you're interested, go check those out. And if you want me to do a tutorial about another song, I would be more than happy to do that. It's a lot of fun to do something like this. Thank you to the people that encouraged me to do this, and I'll see you at the next one. Ciao for now.